Hello there, good evening and welcome. This is ABUJA Dispatch, and like we always tell you every week on this program, it is a platform that we specially create to bring to your living rooms those events and issues which have shaped the thoughts of many in the outgoing week. ABUJA is my name. Let's start off with those stories that made up our news headlines in the last 7 days.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday evening visited the Medium Security Custodial Center, Kuje, attacked by terrorists, spending about 30 minutes there. Soon after he arrived, he was briefed about the attack by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Dr. Shuaib Mohammed Lamido Belgo, and the Controller General of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Haliru Nababa, showing him the bombed-out section used to access First and the Records Office, which was set on fire, adding that the invaders thereafter launched an attack on all cells in which Boko Haram terrorists were held. The president was surprised that at the end of it, none of the 63 terrorists are accounted for, but it was emphasized that records are not lost because they have been backed up. President Buhari, who was shocked by both the scale and audacity of the attack, queried how the defenses at the prison failed to prevent the attack. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday assigned portfolios to 7 newly appointed ministers, charging them to serve the nation diligently, maintain unalloyed loyalty to the country and office of the president. The president also announced the reassignment of portfolios in his cabinet, saying the new redeployment is aimed at reinvigorating certain sectors where the government desires to accomplish improved results. Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony which preceded the virtual Federal Executive Council meeting, the president said as his administration is now on the home stretch of its second term, more work still needs to be done in diverse areas of the economy and national life. The Federal Executive Council has approved 22 billion naira for the construction of a conference hostel facility for the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board. The facility is to be located opposite the National Content Building in Yenagoa, capital of Bayelsa State, southern Nigeria. Minister of State Petroleum Resources Timipre Silva disclosed this to State House correspondents at the end of Wednesday's meeting of the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. On the current queues witnessed at petrol stations in Abuja, the nation's capital, the minister blamed the scarcity of the product on the selfish attitude of marketers of petroleum products. The Nigerian Military High Command says it will continue to explore both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches in all theaters of operations across the country towards tackling economic saboteurs, banditry, terrorism, and other criminal activities bedeviling the nation. Director of Defense Media Operations Major General Bernard Onyoku made the disclosure at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja during a bi-weekly press briefing on the operational update of the armed forces' successes recorded. He said within the period under review, troops of Operation Codenamed Octopus grip in the southern region of the country and arrested 26 crude oil thieves, recovered petroleum products worth billions of dollars, and impounded over 60 wooden boats and 29 vehicles. The All Progressives Congress has a credible candidate to sell in the forthcoming governorship elections in the state of Osun, and there is no plans for vote buying as being insinuated by the opposition party in the state. Lagos State Governor and Chairman of the APC Campaign Council in Osun elections, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, reiterated this while briefing State House media after leading a delegation to present the APC candidate to President Muhammadu Buhari. Sanwo-Olu said a visit to the state of Osun clearly shows the extent of infrastructural renewal carried out by the incumbent governor, Adegboyega Oyetola, and the entire state is rooting for the continuation of the APC government in the state.
Welcome back. The international border between Nigeria and her neighboring countries is roughly 4,745 square kilometers long. The problem of insecurity as a result of these borderless borders in Nigeria has become one of the most intractable challenges facing the country today. Nigeria's border porosity and the increase in crime waves. This is the crux of our discourse tonight on Dateline. Stay with us.
Borderlands are both melting pots and security hotspots. Regrettably, oftentimes they are neglected in the developmental strategies of the connected countries. They are an arena of cross-border crimes and represent a dynamic place of historically sustained cultural and socio-economic exchange at the same time. Consequently, worries of border porosity and fears of criminal activities spilling over from both communities are always increasing. Informal trade, both legal and illegal, is the most common activity in border communities, and despite increasing subnational and international cooperations, criminal cross-border activities still remain a key variable of instability in the West African sub-region, particularly among the connected countries.
Even though the land border has been open now for legitimate trade, arms and ammunition are banned. Importations of rice and vehicles is banned across the land borders. The closure of land borders has been very, very effective, and I will urge the government to continue monitoring the situation to ensure that the influx of arms and ammunition is greatly curtailed.
The problem of porosity of border, we need to take it seriously. And that is the reason why my recent motion in the House was on this issue, porosity of our borders. Because that is where different things, that is used to come into the country. If attention is not paid to it, and we are all shouting bandits, this and that, we are just like scratching the thing on the surface.
In recent times, transnational criminal activities across the Nigerian borders are manifold. They include the trafficking of small arms and light weapons, narcotics and human beings, as well as cross-border armed attacks, after which criminals often retreat to the other side to evade prosecution. The risks presented by militant groups are amplified primarily through the prevalence of porous borders in the West African sub-region. Countries like Benin, Cameroon, Chad and Niger are all potential targets due to their proximity to Nigeria, their demographics and their socio-economic realities.
There's no way 15,836, if we deploy each and every one of us, will block those entrances. It's porous. In the dry season, from cement until you get to Mfu is motorable. Motorcycles can move anywhere in between those areas.
Nigeria's borders with Benin and Chad are fairly short, that is 773 kilometers and 87 kilometers long, respectively. In comparison, Nigeria's borders with Niger and Cameroon span 1,497 kilometers and 1,690 kilometers, respectively. The porous nature of these borders heightens the potential spread of terrorist activities in Nigeria and into the neighboring countries.
Customs to actually reinforce its activities, like we have in the army. There is civilian military relations that are supposed to be activated. Now, it does not take the customs from deploying, professionals to the dialogue with these host communities, telling them the implications of abetting all those criminals.
Government at all levels should come together, look inwards on how to sensitize these communities surrounding these land borders, on how to see the dangers in accommodating arms, while they work hand in hand with those people bringing in arms, those traffickers. After this sensitization, work closely with the security details. And again, you can also implore the youths in these communities to able to come up with some measures they can be able to use to assist government to actualize this.
Funding infrastructural development towards enhancing border security is one way in which border control efforts can be supported. Many have also called for deeper collaboration between the various border agencies, and relevant legal instruments and framework should also be harmonized.
The immigration and the custom men should work with the other paramilitary organs, DSS, the civil defense, and other paramilitary organs like that. They should join hands together. We should not leave it to only immigration and custom men. Even we need to involve the community people.
Effective surveillance and the provision of operational vehicles to Nigerian Customs Service, to the police, to immigration, is highly recommended. Once we do this, we will be able to control the influx of arms and ammunition into illegal routes. It is only through effective surveillance and vigilance that you can do this.
Finally, regional and international organizations should support efforts geared at tightening borders and restricting the flow of criminal elements within the sub-region.
Since the advent of President Muhammadu Buhari during his first tenure and now in his second tenure, the government had emphasized on infrastructure. And that has been reflected in a lot of infrastructural works across the nation. In the FCT, even before it became a policy that the target would be to develop infrastructure, from the very beginning, my team and I, when I was appointed in November of 2015, looked at the Federal Capital Territory and appraised the level of works that we inherited. And we realized that if we did not focus on completing the projects we found on ground, then within a few years, Abuja would become unlivable. And that is the crux of what had always guided me and my team. Work on infrastructure, complete the ongoing projects, and then looking at the demographic trends and the trajectory that we all envisaged the city was going to be, that is the federal capital city, and by extension the territory, we decided to embark on some additional new critical projects. Construction work in the city started about 10 years after the proclamation of the Federal Capital Territory. And gradually, of course, buildings were constructed, road networks were done, all under what we call the ABUJA Master Plan. Every successive minister, the first responsibility given to him by Mr. President of whatever period is to make sure that the federal capital city is developed according to the plan already established. And this is why you always hear the Palace Abuja Master Plan. And what does that involve? It involves the setting up of districts to cater for residents, the creation of major arterial district and also branch roads across the entire territory as well as the federal capital city. And what we did, and successive regimes also did in the past, was that these developments were done in a modular manner as the city was growing and as the territory was growing. And that's why when we came in, we realized that there were 3 major arterial roads coming into the city of Abuja that were in various stages of construction. And these were what is popularly known as the Airport Expressway, called Umar Eradua Expressway, what is popularly known as the access into the city through the Kefi Nyanya axis, and then the third one is access into the city through the Zuba, Suleja, Kubwa axis. All these roads were under construction when I was appointed in 2015. If you take the Airport Expressway, for instance, for you to enter the city of Abuja, you had to meander through a lot of side streets because simply the bridges were not completed and they were not connected. So, and if you look at the other aspect from the Kefi access, also the same thing, and ditto the Kubwa Expressway. I'm sure you remember there was a very important bridge over the railway network that was not completed. So basically this is what we did. We aimed at this. And then subsequently, of course, we looked at the arterial road networks within the city. And now you will notice now also that we are now connecting districts of the city. We have to own the city. It's just beyond saying it's a city created by government. We have to own it, we have to love it, and then we have to fight to protect it. So this is also another road. It's called the Airport Expressway, Umar Eradua Expressway. All of you that come to Abuja by flying in or driving in through the southern axis of this country know what it used to be in 2015, 2016. And in the foreground on this picture on the left-hand side, you will obviously see how it looked like then. This is how it looks like now. It's almost done. It's almost completed. This is the interchange, I believe, at Kuje, going to Kuje, and that particular interchange now already we are working on an expressway. It's called the Regional Road 105 that is going to link the Airport Expressway right into Kuje town, and this is something that we will not complete, but it's a project we have initiated. It's about 52 billion naira, but we are going to make sure that at least some substantial aspect of the work is done before we continue. The next set will come and continue because Abuja is obviously a work in progress. So that's why when we came in, we said we are going to complete what others started, and then now that we've done a reasonable milestone, we now have initiated a number of projects that we will see later, which we hope those coming later will complete. The FCT administration is also saddled, apart from road infrastructure, rail infrastructure, water infrastructure, is also saddled with public buildings. All the public buildings you see, including this beautiful hall we are in here, were constructed by the FCDA, which is one of the major agencies of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. And now, as time went by and as the city became more mature, a lot of MDS now initiate their own projects. But any public building in the FCT is somehow supervised by the FCDA. Infrastructure is an enabler, and that's why when you notice that certain aspects of the FCT probably are not requiring the required attention, it's because when you have to deploy your resources, you have to prioritize. And because infrastructure development is such an enabler of economic and social activity, so that is why we decided that as an administration, since government is a continuum, as an administration, we decided that we'll just concentrate on infrastructure so that then subsequent teams will come and build upon. Because without this infrastructure, and looking at the population explosion in the territory, I think all the reasons why we left Lagos to come back to Abuja would have hit us. The master plan of the Abuja, especially the Federal Capital City, has created what we call districts. Every district is supposed to be a holistic environment that takes care of the residents there. Their school, their places of worship, their security places, fire services, residences, and commercial places. And that's how you have, of course, initially we had Garki, later you had Wuse, you had Maitama 1, Maitama 2, you have Asokoro, and then all the other districts. And that's how it is. Now what we are doing is, if you notice, we had major arterial roads, but there were no direct linkages between one district to the other. So that's why at Uye now, you will notice that we are now linking up Olusegun Obasanjo Way on Wuse with Uye district. And this is the massive bridge that is under construction across Nnamdi Azikiwe Expressway, which is called Ring Road 1. And the whole idea is now, instead of the person living in Uye to either go to the stadium interchange to be able to hit the city center, or to go to what we call the beggar roundabout to be able to enter the city center, all the person needs to do now is just to cross this bridge. And this is a bridge that the engineers have told me that we should be able probably to deliver by Christmas this year or early next year. And this is what we are doing. And then a similar bridge is now being constructed at what we call the Powerhouse Junction. That's the one that links this part of Asokoro that we live in on Yakubu Gawang Way with the other part of Asokoro. Once that is done, then this gridlock that sometimes you find at the intersection would have been over. So these are all, and this is how the city is being planned. You create additional infrastructure to match the needs of the city. Another infrastructure work we've done has to do with the Abuja Rail Mass Transit. It's a project we inherited that was about 52% completion. We spent in a lot of money, completed it, brought in the wagons that will run the system, open up about 3 stations, and now we intend to open another 4 stations. That's the command and control center. All this is functional. Due to COVID-19, we had to stop operations because, as you know, the light rail system is a system of rail that basically cramps people to move them within short distances. And most of the time, you find that there are people who are, you have to stand. Seats are very limited. And so if you stand also, it becomes almost impossible to be able to adhere to COVID-19 protocols. That's one of the main reasons. I've seen in the popular press a lot of issues regarding why is it not working and so on. The reality is it's better to save lives than just to say you want to run the rail system. But we are working towards resuming operations very soon.
That is our package tonight on Abuja Dispatch. For further information, comments, and suggestions, you can contact us on any of our various social media platforms. Thanks for sharing your moments with us tonight on Abuja Dispatch. A week from now, we'll bring you another refreshing package. Same time, same station. Adegboyega Arogbodo is my name. Have a good night.